Okay, so we are now on to revokes, laws 61 through 64. So when is a revoke established? So when the offender or his partner leads or plays to the following trick, any such play, legal or illegal, establishes the revoke. When the offender or his partner names or otherwise designates a card to be played to the following trick. When a member of the offending side makes or agrees to a claim or a concession of tricks orally or by facing his hand or in any other way, returning his hand to the board, whatever. This is establishing the revoke. It's important to remember that it's until the side plays to the following trick, the offending. So if the revoking side, if neither one has actually played to the following trick, it has not been established. It is still able to be corrected. I had an interesting email yesterday from a woman who told me about a ruling, and the declarer had, from the dummy, had roughed in their hand a diamond and then had led another card, and their left-hand opponent played, and before they played from the dummy to this trick, they said, oh, wait a second, I had a diamond, and they wanted to put this ace of trump back in their hand and correct. And the director, these are the facts as reported, allowed the change. And the statement at the table was that the declarer cannot make a mistake. I said, well, as it turns out, the declarers can always make a mistake. And in this case, when the declarer led to the next trick after revoking, that revoke was established. So there should be no correction allowed there. Okay. Let's see. So correcting a revoke that is not established, the offender plays a legal card. The illegal card becomes a major penalty card. A non-offender may return to his hand any card he has played after the revoke. If he does so and the offender's partner has also played, the offender's partner may change his. So this is an example of what we're talking about here. So in this example of a revoke correction, we have hearts or trump. South is in their hand, and they lead a small spade toward the dummy, and West revokes by trumping. And North now plays a small spade, as does East. And now West pipes up and says, oops, I'm sorry, I have a spade. So now when they play the spade, this heart, stays on the dummy. Stays on the table as a major penalty card. They play a spade, and this person now changes their card to the jack of spades. And the question is this person allowed to change their play? And the answer is yes, because he's changed his card. And so now East is allowed to change their card. When East changes their card, this small spade is going to become a major penalty card on the table. Okay. But then we have another example. Here, a little bit different. Again, hearts are trump, and he leads his singleton spade toward the dummy, the king, queen, jack. This person trumps and he plays the jack, and it goes small. And now he says, oops, I have a heart, and he plays the spade. The question is, can East now change their card to the ace of spades? Anybody want to weigh in? So the answer in this situation is no. Because it's law 62 that talks about this, and it takes the non-offending side changing their card So in the previous example, they changed their card to the jack, and this person now was able to change their card because this side changed their card. But here, they're playing the same card. And since they're not changing their card, East is no longer allowed to change their card. So they would just miss out on getting their ace of spades most likely in this example. I taught this class to District 16, and someone said, well, that's a terrible law. And I said, well, that's a discussion for another day, but that is what the law says, is that it takes the non-offending side changing their card to allow the other person to change their card, the other side. An often contentious situation, here is North leads a small spade to the ace, and West plays the 4 of hearts. And South leads the 2, and West says, oh, I have a spade, and faces the 10. So the reason they bring up this example is West may not say they have the 10. They may not have said, oh, I have a spade. They may have just put the 10 on the table, playing it. So now it becomes, was it really playing to the trick, or was it a correction of the revoke? And what we want to do here is look at who was it that spoke up first. So if West actually spoke up and said, I had a spade, then it's likely a correction of the revoke. If somebody else said, hey, you didn't have a spade last time, he goes, oh yeah, I know, I did have a spade, I'm just correcting my revoke now, then it would have been an establishment of a revoke. So it takes some discernment to try to work out some of these situations, but that's kind of something that you can look to in your decision making. So 64A talks about automatic trick adjustments. There are automatic trick adjustments and non-automatic trick adjustments. So tricks 1 on or after the revoke here, if the trick was not won in the revoking hand, and their side won no further tricks, then there is no rectification. We cannot give back what we haven't taken. If the trick was won, but there were no tricks won after, if the trick was won in the revoking hand, but no other tricks were won, or if the trick was not won by the revoking hand, but that trick was won by the revoking side or a trick future in the revoking side, then 1 would be returned. The only time we get into the 2-trick territory is when the person revoking has won by trumping, obviously, and then their side wins subsequent tricks. That's when we're looking back at the automatic 2-trick adjustment. Okay, so a 2-trick penalty is applied, again, when the offending player wins the trick with the revoking card and his side wins a subsequent trick. 1 trick is the offending player does not win the trick of the revoke, but his side wins that or a subsequent trick. Okay, so understanding 64A2, a 1 penalty is applied in either of these situations if either member of the offending side wins the trick on which the revoke occurred, even though they win no subsequent tricks, or if either member of the offending side wins at least 1 subsequent trick, even though they didn't win the trick of the revoke. So no automatic trick adjustment in these situations. So if the offending side did not win either the revoke trick or subsequent tricks, there's no automatic adjustment. We can't give back what we don't take. If it is a subsequent revoke in the same suit by the same player, so if I revoke in hearts 3 different tricks, it's only a 1 suit revoke. It's only 1 revoke that we're adjudicating here. We're not treating each one as a separate revoke. If the revoke was made in failing to play any card faced on the table or belonging to a hand faced on the table, including a card from dummy. So occasionally you will have the dummy will lay their hand down and maybe have a card obscured. And later, as they're playing it, they realize that there was a club on the dummy, which they had roughed. So technically, we would say that there had been a revoke, but the dummy did revoke, but there is no automatic trick adjustment here. We would restore equity in this position if we determined that they were able to trump a club in this example where they would have, the defending side would have won that club trick, then we would restore that trick back to the non-offending side. But there is no automatic adjustment, trick adjustment like there is in the other situations. If attention was first drawn to the revoke after a member of the non-offending side has made a call on a subsequent deal. So again, it doesn't mean that we cannot restore equity if they have revoked, even though we've made a call on the next board. Even we can still go and say to the director, they revoked this last hand. And so there's no automatic adjustment. But if they gained an advantage because of that, we can restore equity in those situations and adjust that trick. If attention was first drawn to the revoke after the round has ended, it's the same situation. We can still restore equity. If a revoke is on the 12th trick, when we're called to the table and they have revoked at trick 12, a lot of times people get down to their last two cards and they play the wrong one and revoke. We make that correction, and there is no automatic trick adjustment in that situation. When both sides have revoked on the same board, there's no automatic trick adjustment either. It's kind of like offsetting penalties in the NFL. Okay, loss 64C, adjusted score for redress of damage. This applies if the non-offenders are insufficiently compensated. So let's say that I have a long suit in my hand and this person revoked until my partner no longer had a way to get to me, or didn't stop me from running my suit until I was not going to be able to get back in. In these situations, we want to go back. And so at the end of your revoke ruling, you always want to say to the table, once you've delivered what is the automatic trick adjustment, you'll want to say, so does that get us back to even had the revoke not occurred? And sometimes, most of the time they'll say, yeah, or they might even say, oh yeah, it even got us to better. Well, that's not the intention of the law. The intent of the law is to give us a way of making these adjustments, these automatic adjustments, and sometimes it gets them back to better, but we want to be sure it gets them back to at least even. And so they may speak up and say, well, no, it doesn't get us back to even, because if she had followed to that diamond the first time, then I would have been able to cash 5 more tricks and I would have gotten back more than one. I'd have gotten 4. And so those are the times when we would redress damage and award even more tricks back to the non-offenders. Skill sets that you're going to use with revoke rulings: listening for keywords, failed to follow, they revoked, asking questions in the proper order. One of the things that you really want to do is control the table. When you get to the table and they say there has been a revoke, the tendency is for players to want to go and immediately start turning over their cards and let you know when it was. So you want to be sure that no one touches anything. I just say, okay, I don't want anybody to touch any cards. I'm going to do all the discovery myself. And so I may say to a player, okay, so where do you think they revoked? Because sometimes people kind of turn their card a different way, but we can go back, or I can just get everybody's cards and turn them all face up in order, and I can follow myself and find out where that revoke happened. Did they win that trick in the revoking hand, and make all the information. Otherwise, if people start reaching in and grabbing their cards and going, oh, I think it was here. No, 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 they followed here. It was right here. Then you've lost control of the table. And sometimes you've lost really useful information in being able to make the right determination. So, and then you also may have to be able to visualize the layout of at the time of the revoke. If the revoke is very early in the hand, if you get called to the table and it's been established, you want to stick around and maybe watch the play for the rest of the hand, because the revoke early may have totally changed their line of play if they think this person has some number of a suit now because this person didn't follow. It may totally change their plan, and you'll have to be prepared to make an adjustment if that's the case. So in those situations, I would allow them to finish. I would then have them just put their cards up in order of play. Just slide them and put them in the board, and I would make a hand record of how the play went so that I can go back and analyze if there was damage as a result. So that's just some way of handling those situations.